Blurt's in the game.
Choose your character.
All right. Welcome back to the Geekset Podcast, the only podcast that blend hip-hop culture and geek culture together. I'm your boy Deuces, and this is One-on-One with Deuces, the place where I speak with creators, curators, and people that you should know. And right now, if you don't know who this guy I got, you've been literally living under a rock. This man has touched every inch of top peak black cinema and TV history. When I'm talking to the one and only Anthony Hemingway, how are you doing, bro?
I'm good, brother. How you?
Man,
just out here trying to continue digging ruts in this road, for us to keep flowing. That's it.
So, shout out to Noriega and the Drink Champs, because they make it popular, and they popularize and normalize giving people their flowers while they're here. So on our platform, we do the exact same way. And one of the things that I love about when I was doing my research and going more into your work is, bro, you literally have touched every aspect of black TV movie that we love. I mean, you was part of The Wire, you was part of Oz, you was part of Power, you was part of Empire, Treme. Like, you touched so many dope areas of TV, but then not only that, you've brought to life and shared stories of so many real people, such as, in Red Tails and, American Crime Story and the Harriet Tubman, Underground, like whether it is like, reenactments or whether it is just expanding the story, you have brought so much to the black community that we can stand by, that we are proud of, that we love. And we want to make sure, from the Blur community to you, man, thank you for what you bring to this industry, and thank you for what you do for our culture.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for this space, that recognizes what we do, because representation is everything, as you know. And, I'm out here just trying to pave the way for the next many to come behind me, because I it's not lost on me the shoulders I stand on, and have, had the opportunity to do what I do, which I feel and have always felt like it's my passion. I'm doing God's work out here, like trying to be basically a vessel, to keep bringing some swagger to interrupt these screens.
Right. Yeah. And I love that you're pretty much a prodigy, man. You was APing at 12. You was the youngest, if not still the youngest. Like, that has to be crazy. Like, at 12, what even gives you the wherewithal to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to AP?
PA, yeah, no, it's crazy.
PA, like, PA, sorry about that. Yeah,
it's wild. I'm second generation by way of my mother. I grew up in this business, really not ever thinking that it was gonna be a career. I grew up around mortality. My sister passed when she lived basically her 7 years of life in and out of Baby's Hospital in New York City, and I was 4 when she passed. So I, felt that I always had something in me that wanted to bring some healing and change and not see people suffer, because I saw how it impacted my family, especially my mother, and her, this innocent little girl, like, suffering basically 7 years of her life. And that was my initial journey and desire, was to be a doctor, and so I literally spent all my courses and focus in school dedicated to that path. And my senior year in high school, I basically was like, I think I lost that. I don't know what I'm gonna do, And of course, rewinding a little bit, when I was, basically becoming a teenager, my mother had gotten this commercial that she was doing, and I worked for her, and the way commercials work, I think I love them in the sense that you get to do a little of everything. Like it's not so compartmentalized as many kind of union structured things that I do now. So I got to have a really interesting kind of ability to just to kind of see what it all was, like this idea of like, you know, make believe. And so I had fun. And at the time it was really just kind of, you know, it was one, helping the family, you know, pay the bills, two, you know, being able to, you know, get the kicks I wanted that my parents couldn't afford if you know, outside of the bills. And so it was really just kind of a fun thing for me in the beginning. And, you know, again, as a PA, you have the ability to be a sponge to kind of, you know, work really closely to all the creative elements in the process, from producer, director, cinematographer, talent, the whole 9 yards. And over time, when I kind of got to that point of realizing that, you know, the medical profession wasn't really my journey. My father's Vietnam, and you know, so I went into the military, swore in and swore right back out, got my discharge. And then it was that moment where I was like, you know what, maybe let me just, you know, one, I got to work, let me get a job. And so I got on a TV series, and it was that moment, I was 17 or 18 years old, where it was really kind of the light bulb moment for me. It was like, all right, you know, I realized from who was a mentor of mine, the late Bruce Paltrow, who basically got me to realize that, you know, storytelling really can be very contribution, or can be a major contribution to, you know, healing and affecting change. And before that, I only saw it as entertainment. You know, I love movies and TV shows and blah blah blah. So I was just like, you know, a kid just kind of enjoying watching TV or looking at films. And so that was a moment that I was like, you know, all right, here we go. And so then I became the youngest person to join the DGA. I was 19 years old, and then the rest is history.
And you know what's really dope about your story, because like, you know, you said that you're attracted to the stories, like telling stories, using that to heal, and you were part of some stories early on. I know a lot of people bring up Wire and Oz first, but like me, knowing that how much I love The Wire and Oz and all that, I know that The Corner was actually one of the like getting into like that more HBO-ish and everything in that family. And that was such an amazing story as well. So like you were already telling these truthful stories that are embedded in realism, that, you know, people like us, that where we come from, we identify with that, and we love the storytelling of it. The reason why The Wire and like things like The Corner and stuff like that hit so hard is because it's not just painting Black folks in like a impoverished area or the biggest gang member. Like you told the story from the full-blown crackhead to the crackhead who's trying to get off drugs. You told about the drug dealer kingpin, but also the drug dealer who like, I got to do this to save my family, or I'm trying to get out. You told, like, I just love how those stories was, and getting that type of experience early on, that really had to also amplify what you wanted to do and give you a purpose.
Yeah, it actually stressed me out because, you know, all of what you're naming, like, really just set the bar for me in terms of coming into this world of storytelling at that moment in my life, and really, really, really having the ability to be so up close and personal with material and works like that really was about bringing agency to our stories, and doing exactly what you're saying, you know, having meaning and not just pure entertainment. It was like, so that set the bar for me. So everything after that was like, it was a struggle, because like that was, you know, my education and my basically my teaching and schooling, and I was entering and approaching everything from that perspective. And, you know, everybody doesn't want that, you know, so it was real hard to kind of figure out and navigate, you know, my way through like all the different things that I got to do after.
Yeah. And I love that again, you know, a lot of the times, you know, they always say like this industry is a who you know like industry, right?
Yeah.
But like I see a lot of your work that you've done that helped got you to the places that you were at, right? Because right early on, I mean, you worked on Ali, working with Will Smith from the get-go. Then, like I said, that huge cast in The Wire, who's pretty much all of top Hollywood right now. It's like you got to see greatness and got to work hand in hand with all these people. And I believe, like I said, it's your work. I mean, you were even the way how you end up directing a couple of episodes on The Wire, it was seeing your work and then giving you that opportunity. You tell that story how like when they called you and told you, like you literally burst out in tears because it was like, yo, this is my work that got me to this. That got to feel great, that knowing that it's your work and not just who you know.
It really is, you know, and it was because it was the affirmation, the confirmation, and everything. And again, when I made the switch and pivoted to doing this as a profession, it was, you know, I was not, I wouldn't say taking a risk, but I was trying something, you
Yeah.
know, and when I really fell into it in such a big way, and you know, the opportunities that I've gotten to have and the people I've gotten to work with and all of that, it's mind blowing. Like, you know, it's like I look back in hindsight and I'm just thankful for all those blessings because, like, again, that moment when I got my directorial debut, I had years prior starting to kind of get the itch and I was scratching for what was next, you know, because at the time I was an assistant director and I was like, okay, I love what I do. I love what this position, you know, offers to the whole process. I
Mhm.
enjoyed every part of it, every moment of it. But I was getting at that point where I was like, you know, I was feeling like I was kind of hitting a ceiling, and I was like, you know, not that I had done, you know, my dream work yet, but it was that, you know, what I know I have more to give and what
Yeah.
more to contribute. And so when the producers called me on that weekend and basically said and answered the question that I have been writing and holding on to for years, I lost it. Like, you know, because I'm a man of faith and belief and
Mhm.
and you know, divine order and all of that stuff. And so that really was for me, God telling me, okay, your steps are ordered and here's your next one. And so
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah, you know, I'm a man of faith as well. So it's like it's crazy because when the pandemic hit, one of the like, you know, we was just a regular podcast. We would go to Comic Cons and cover convention coverage and stuff like that, but we was literally just a podcast, right? And when we started gearing towards trying to help amplify voices and tell stories, the pandemic hit. And me and my team got together and I said, look, I don't want to lose steam of what we're building here because this blurred culture showing black folks liking and loving nerd culture, there's an importance here. So I said, what let's pivot, let's do some stuff. And we started this interview series, right? And you know, it came out of where I was like, I need to figure out what we want to do. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna just listen to the higher power. I'm gonna believe in God and God's path. And I feel like ever since I vocally said it, because not only just had the thought, but I vocally put it out there, he's been gearing and shifting me and giving me opportunities, like I said, to speak with people like yourself. And it's been crazy. It's like I've talked to my heroes, people that I grew up with. So like, so how you've working with people that you grew up probably seeing on TV and the movies, and you're like, yo, like this person knows my name. I've worked with them. I did stuff. I feel the same way about putting out, like doing, you know, these interviews. I'm like, bro, listen here. I watch The Wire yearly. Like, you know what I'm saying? I love Oz so much. And the fact that you worked on both of those and you're the second person I got to talk to from the Wire cast, but it's just like, I mean, just in that property, but it's like I've watched it so much that I'm like, yo, I can break this whole series down, themes
Probably
front
better
to
than
back.
me.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I just told, listen here, I love it when somebody tells me, oh man, I love The Wire, but season 2 is trash. I'm like, ha, let me tell you why it's not trash.
Right.
Like that's how much I love it. But it's like it is that I was like, I put my faith in him, and he put me in a position where I can have these dope conversations, or I can bring give people their flowers, people that I truly are, impressed by and fans of and stuff like that. So it's like I connect with you so much on that of that higher power telling you these are your steps and this is how you get there, and it's just follow my will. So it's like it's pretty dope, man.
I appreciate you, brother. It's like, I respect what you do so much. Like, again, I'm like, I couldn't do that. And I'm grateful that you're out here doing it. Like, it's again, it's a major contribution needed, not only the representation, but again, just to be able to have a platform to continue furthering, us giving each other flowers and seeing each other and just loving on each other. So thank you.
Yeah, and so one of the things that I did realize is like a theme of like the projects that you work on is that you do have a knack for telling stories of real people. A lot of your shows that you work on, a lot of the movies, again, it's either a true story or it's a uncovered story, or it's even if it's a embellished story, like, oh, let's take this moment, but then let's expand it and let's get creative with it. I wanted to know, like, one, what attracts you to that more than anything?
I honestly can't say that I just look for them. I'm all about story. It's story first. So, that can be in any kind of package. It's just so happened that what I have been able to do, thus far has been, what you've seen. And I'm grateful and thankful for all of it. Like, it's actually an interesting conversation because, this business is so commonly loves to label everyone and put everybody in a box. And so, there are things that I love to do, like comedy and sci-fi and horror and all that stuff that I haven't really fully gotten a chance to tap into yet. But and that's kind of because the way of, the systems, the work that I have done is the only thing people can think of me for or consider me for, so I'm out here definitely trying to hustle and grind and trying to, carve, opportunity into those other spaces as well. But, I think all of what they do have in common for me is story. And, I just love telling human stories, no matter what the package is. But it's just, and I think, more into that, I love telling stories about, people who are often seen invisible, and just all the marginalized communities. Like, again, I want to use my time to, and my purpose and ability to, be one of the numbers that are out here doing that, making that contribution.
Yeah, and again, like I said, it goes into some of the stuff that you've already done because, when you think about like, a show like Empire and all the topics that they were able to touch and tackle, and then you think about what Power started doing, it's like, granted, Power may not be, as intricate as The Wire, but those stories and the way that they were telling those stories is still captivated the world. And everybody who's tuned in every Sunday to see what's going on. Empire had a run and it was just breaking down doors and going crazy, so it's like you see that, and like you said, it's embedded in those stories. But there was a lot of marginalized groups that were represented in these shows, even The Wire, like I said, in these shows, but they normalized it, right? And I think that, to me, that's what I love about your work, because it's like, okay, I get it. Like, I understand. Yeah, this character represents the LGBTQ plus community, or this person is a Latin American or whatever. And it's like, yes, that is a part of them, but I like that a lot of your stories and characters, that's not the driving factor of their character. Omar was a stick-up kid. The fact that he was gay did not change how amazing that character was written. It's like it's stuff like that I love about your work, is that it's like, yes, we're going to show that, but like, yeah, again, I consider myself an ally, like to the point where like I go to the pride parades. My cousin is an activist in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and she does amazing work. And anytime that she has a rally, anytime that she's speaking, I make it a chance to go to her event and listen and offer my allyship, right? And one of the things that I hear from, you know, the LGBTQ plus community a lot is that yes, we want to be represented, but like you don't have to go to the extremes or be the stereotypical. Like, you know, I know people that work this job, and yes, they're, you know, they're part of that LGBTQ plus community, but it's like they're not doing the stereotypical things that you see in Hollywood. And it's like I connect with this so much because as a black man, you know, it's like, yeah, in Hollywood they portray us crazy, and then as a black nerd, they always make us Steve Urkel. And I'm like, it's not always Steve Urkel. There's like, so it's like, I love the realism that you give to that, where the community and also somebody like as an ally myself can say, hey, that character is dope, no matter what the case may be.
Yeah, no, we're not a monolith. You know, there's so many dimensions and complexities to our people, and you know, it's about really again showing it all and helping normalize it. That was one of the fun things about the Omar character, was when Obama said that was his favorite character. We all was hyped. We was like, yeah, like, you know, because you know, I think out the gate it was especially, you know, as we deal with, you know, unfortunate, I think, you know, prejudices and whatever. It's like, you know, when that first came out, you know, the community was kind of like, wow, you know, man, see, here we go. Why we got to do that? And I'm really happy that like so much of that conversation shifted the way it was portrayed, the way Michael, God bless his soul, my brother, I miss him so much. The way he leaned into that character and took the responsibility and was vulnerable to tap into, you know, the dynamics and the complexities within, again, who we are, because we are not what you know, many people just want to sit back and think and stereotype us to be. You know, it's about really trying to figure out all the colors and layers that we have.
You know what? One of the things that I like to tell people about the Omar character that a lot of people don't realize, I say when you break down the whole show and you break down who Omar is, Omar's story was nothing but a revenge love story. His whole, like when he got introduced, yes, he was a stick-up kid and he was Robin Hood or whatever, how you want to. But from the minute that they killed his boyfriend and everything that he did became a revenge love story. He was defending the honor of his boyfriend. And then when he got back to just more so just, you know, just, hey, this is the profession that I know. I got my code. But again, like it was always that love of it. He had love of Baltimore and and a love for the code, that he went against Marlo because Marlo was detrimental to the code. Like it was always a love revenge story. I love this man and y'all killed him for no reason, and now I'm the revenge. I love my city, even though we did some nefarious things, but you are not good for this city. I need to get you out of here. Like it was just all that, and I love that about that character.
No, you're spot on. And you know, we celebrated it, you know, and really just leaned into it, and I'm really proud of what we got to do with all the characters, but definitely through his character.
Now, when you do get a project though that is based in realism, based off of somebody, is there a checklist for you? Like, is there things that needs to check off before you attach yourself to that project?
Yes, I think, you know, there are many. It's just because it's so sensitive when you're telling stories about real people. There demands a level of sensitivity, you know, and you know, and really intention. And it's like, what are we doing? What are we saying? Like, why are we telling this story? You know, and it doesn't always have to be, you know, including the estate or that person or a family, but it's definitely much easier. I mean, the challenge you have with that sometimes is, you know, again, depending on what story you're telling and you know, from what the point of entry is and what you're doing, you know, that person could have changed. So they may be coming at it with the perspective of who they are in that moment versus who they are or who they were when you're telling the story.
Yeah.
You know, so it's so many things to really consider. But ultimately it's you know, one, I'm all about intention. So it's like, you know, again, trying to understand and make sure that we're all on the same page, you know, we're aligned and the entire team. And understanding that, you know, basically understanding the story we're telling. But number one, crucial is just, you know, respect and sensitivity, and just making sure that, you know, what we're doing is actually intentional and has a purpose.
Everybody has the stereotypical on what a black geek is. Are you familiar with the term blurred?
Blurred, no.
Right.
Some people said it came off of Scrubs. Some people said it came off the internet. I don't honestly really know.
Don't you see the skin, the eyebrows, the hair?
Yo, my geeks still rock, you know what I'm saying, Dunks or Jordans or whatever.
Did I do that?
It's exciting. It's like, holy, oh, my dog is gonna start barking.
It's all right.
She's excited about it too.
And same as you said, like a barbershop talk, like we would go into really in-depth conversations about these theories and like, well, what if and how come?
It's not unusual to be loved.
Right, but we talk about anime, video games, comic books and stuff like that, but when you hear us talk about it, the passion sounds like we arguing Jordan and Bron.
What do you mean? What does that even mean? What does that even mean?
Like, it sounds like barbershop talk.
Because you don't know the history, don't mean it ain't happened,
You broke that down right there.
But when you see the black geek, you don't see that. You see the socially awkward glasses. Well, this is me. And that's not a lot of us. A lot of us do sound and talk like us. You know what I'm saying?
Because it becomes stereotypical, as if that's where our strength comes from.
I don't know the geek that you talked about before. I know the geek you're talking about right now, though.
It was sort of a call sign so we could find each other on message boards.
Anime gives you life lessons throughout that whole thing. Like, there's not one anime that I know of that doesn't teach you to never give up.
It's just like, I just love seeing us go into the world and go into these different spaces and create things that weren't there before.
And then it was like Miles Morales is like the normal, you know, black person in the United States.
That was my first like blurred moment, was seeing, you know, Storm on the X-Men cartoon series. And I was like, wow, that's a black woman and she's strong, she's powerful.
That's what I want for us. I want us to be that voice.
Yeah, no, I love that because I can understand that, you know, especially, you know, if the state is already in a, you know, in a not so good space, then that can be really difficult because you got, you know, half the family saying we're good with this, the other half is saying it's not. So, you know, I do love it when the family is connected, but I appreciate when somebody does take the sensitivity route of it. You know, it's like, this is not a cash grab. This is not just trying to expose, but this is telling a good story. And I love that, you know, with the Tupac and the Biggie, like, you know, and obviously we're seeing it now, but I was like, I love the fact that, you know, you did put a focus on the relationship between Pac and his mom, you know, and so
Biggie and his mom.
Yeah, and Biggie and his mom. So it's like, you know, I love that emphasis of showing the family aspect of it because that story's been told up and down, left and right in so many ways. So it was like, okay, what can you add to the story? What ways can you tell it where, you know, it's not disrespectful, but also what new can you bring to it? And it was a lot of new things that I was like, oh, I didn't really even realize that. You know, I know you talked about before their friendship getting swept under the rug a lot, and a lot of people don't know that. I'm a hip-hop historian, so I knew that from the get-go, but it was like, yeah, finally somebody is going to dive into this story and talk about like, yo, this could have been the greatest friendship in hip-hop, you know? And so like, I thought that was pretty dope.
And it's really all about humanizing them, you know, because so many times we see anybody in this world and space as a celebrity or a public figure or what have you. And, you know, they're elevated up on a pedestal and you know, it's easy to forget that they are human beings at the end of the day, you
Yeah.
know, and they go through the same shit we go through
Yeah.
daily, you know, and so that's what's exciting for me in tapping into those stories again, is just to bring that human element to it.
Yeah. So I know that you said that you really love, like I said, horror and all these other genres, and I know you dabbled a little bit in it, you know, especially with True Blood, which again, listen, at this point, HBO can name anything. They can be like, okay, we're doing a show about computer technology and Office. I'm gonna watch it because HBO be putting out some solid stuff. And like you did True Blood, you did American Horror Story, you did the Purge TV series. So you did started dabbling more into that horror, more into those science fiction realms,
Fantasy,
and then fantasy, and then knowing with like the emergence of Afrofuturisms with people like Misha Green and Jordan Peele and stuff like that, like, you know, and it's like is it giving you more hope that you're able to break out of that and start doing those type of projects you want?
Yeah, like, you know, I have been blessed to kind of break down some or break out of some of those boxes in TV. It's been slow, but I have been doing it. You know, I want to translate that to films, you know, and that's where mainly I think about, and even comedy. I've gotten to do it, thankfully, on shows like Community and even, you know, shows that have deep dramatic tones to it, but also very comedic tones as well, like Shameless. And you know, trying to not only do that in film, but more of that in TV. You know, it's just that I'm not so known in those spaces unless you know, are avid watchers and fans of those shows, and you know, dig to see who did it, and then you want to continue the relationship. So, but just people just generating those genres are not thinking Anthony Hemingway, and I'm trying to make sure they are thinking Anthony Hemingway.
Well, man, listen, hopefully with this interview, we can get that out there, get people looking at it a different light, because, you know, that's the one thing, like, you know, again, where I represent blurred culture, right? And what I love is like the reimagining. So like, even think about some of the stuff that you've been doing. Like, there's a whole comic book out called Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. And it came off of the idea of, you know, there was that Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer one, and somebody was like, you know, a black creator was like, yo, you know, we got all these heroes that are in real life, but what if we put them in a fantasy situation, right? So you got Harriet Tubman going back in history fighting demons, but then you have stuff like the Tuskegee Heirs. There's a comic book out that is literally they're the heirs of the Tuskegee Airmen, but they're superheroes. And it was like, I love that, because that is taking like heroes and putting them into this Afrofuturism comic book anime style world. You know, you start seeing people like Carl Jones do that, you know, with like Afro Samurai and stuff, like putting art culture into that. And so you start seeing stuff like that. And it's like, I get excited to see that type of creativity, you know, and try to see us dive into worlds where it's like, okay, yes, this is not just a Black Hood thing. Like, yeah, we can be an anime, or we could be a superhero that's not always embedded in trauma, or we can do, you know, we can take true heroes like I said, the Tuskegee Airmen, but turn them into superheroes where it has a little bit of history, but like we're diving into fantasy world. Like, that's the genres that I love.
Yeah, and I love it also because that world has an ability to tap into stories that, you know, to a degree softens the blow for people, you know, like you can really dig into them character storylines, but because it's, you know, this other element or other world, you know, people are entering it differently, but you can get in there and really dig into those storylines. Like, I first got to do that on Battlestar Galactica, and that was such an great opportunity to, you know, all these shows that, again, that where these stories are metaphoring, you know, the world we live in, and that is just, again, the exciting places to really play in. Those playgrounds are just so ripe and rich and needing to be, you know, to have these conversations. So I love it. Like, I actually just came into contact with this one comic It's titled Virgil. I just acquired it. It's talk about a revenge love story. Like, it's that, and I'm super excited to really dig into it. With like a John Wick sensibility and have fun with that world.
Yeah, because that's an Image Comics, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. And see, and that's what I love. Like, I look, because right now, like, there's always that, oh, do we need a black Superman or do we need that? And I love having the conversation. Let's dive into the black comic books and characters that we had. Image had a whole bunch of, represented comic characters, whether they're, like, if I'm not mistaken, Virgil is Jamaican, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that one. Right. So it's like, telling that Jamaican story, right? Or like, you have, Caribbean, characters, or you have just black characters, you gotta think about the stuff that Milestone was doing. And so it's like, I love that, like, right now Hollywood has this fascination with graphic novels and comic books. So as a nerd myself, I'm excited about it. But what I'm seeing that they're breaking down barriers is a lot of marginalized groups is getting their representation. You're seeing, Kamala Khan and Miss Marvel's representing, that you're seeing how the Black Panther and Luke Cage and Misty Knight, and like, so it's like, I'm loving to see that as a director who does love, like I said, fantasy, and happen to have that opportunity to, do anything of those yet, but you're looking into it. Like, how have the industry shift? How from a director who's done more realism, that industry shift for you? How was that, seeing that firsthand?
It all still requires that two-step, that hustle and grind, and it's just about the one thing. I think pretty generally the industry has become so much more kind of dependent upon star factor, and unfortunately that challenges opportunity, because I think there's so many so much great talent out here that's just so deserving a platform or an opportunity, and I'm so all about the underdog, but of course getting things made these days is so challenging because everyone wants that already established A-lister, and and then TV is a challenge because TV requires greater demands on their schedule and time, and not all of them want to get into it, so it's challenging, but we're we're an ingenuitive people, and we persevere, so we're gonna make it happen.
Well, I mean, because I do love that though, like big, like star power people are also though, like, especially us, a lot of us, black folks, they're giving the smaller people a chance. Like, there was this independent comic by the name of Trill League that 50 Cent grabbed up, and he got, trying to help bring that in production, right? You see HBO and what's the Issa's homie, the showrunner we with Issa. Why can't they think of his name? Prentice, yeah. Prentice grabbing up a lot of black comic book creators to try to bring their projects to life and everything like that, right? So it's like, I get exactly what you're saying, but I love the fact that even just the small things, what Michael B. Jordan did with Creed and bringing anime elements to a big blockbuster movie, where it's like, and it's funny because like I'm seeing critics like, oh my god, he did this scene like this and it blacked out and all you saw was them boxing and the crowd was gone, but then the crowd came back, and I'm like, yeah, anime been doing that. And then hearing him say, yeah, I use these anime elements in it, I said, I love this. This is giving the small cultures that love on a big screen. Like, I think that is important as well, and I love that it's us leading that pack.
Yes, I'm so proud of Michael. I really am. I'm like, just my jaws are sore from smiling.
Yeah,
and my heart is heavy just from the love that I have for him and what he's been doing and what he just did with that film.
Yeah.
It had me like from start to close, like I was in it. I'm really proud of what he did with Creed.
Yeah, your circle is crazy because the people, because like I said, I mean, if we just stopped at the Wirecast alone, it's like, whoa. But also, you work with George Lucas, which is in nerd culture, he is one of the he is Himothy. He is like he is up there, and it's like, yo, like you got such an inspirational circle that to pull from. That, you know, that's why I'm surprised you didn't get a chance to really tap into Afrofuturism like that, knowing that you got George Lucas right there, that you can be like, hey, you know, I'm interested in this, so if you got anything, let me know.
Yeah, you know, time is coming.
Yeah,
it's coming. We out here doing it.
Out here doing it. So one of the things that I do like to like dive into is just, again, like just small stories that kind of like, wait a minute, there's got to be more stories to this. So one of the things that I noticed on your Instagram is that there's this Superman bobblehead, but it's you that travels and seemingly has this whole journey. I need the story behind this bobblehead.
So that literally is just simply for my 40th. You know, I love to gift things to people. I love just, you know, sharing the wealth, just seeing people smile and happy and have a good time. And so pretty much every party or function that I put on, I like to, you know, have people leave with some offering, some little token or whatever. And so for my 40th, you might have seen I kind of did a play on the Breaking Bad Hauser. I did Hemingway with my face. I had an artist sketch it out. So every person that came got a swag bag with a t-shirt with that on it. They got their own bobblehead of myself, and other things that was in that bag. But that was basically from the 40th. Like, I'm trying to think of what I'm gonna do for my 50th, which is coming in a couple of years. So I'm like, what's going to be in that bag? Like, but that's where that came from. And it was just fun. I think, again, just the stories that can come from it and the fun that can come from it. Like, I have had people that have taken it around the world and take pictures of it. Like, it's just fun. Like, I just love having a good time. That's it.
No, I love that, because like, one, it stands a testament to your friend group, because it's movies that you may not even be a part of, but then it's like you see your bobblehead next to the script, and it's like it's like, man, hey, that bobblehead getting around.
It's getting around. I travel. It's like the t-shirt, like, it's funny, you know, just a little inside. It's like, I've probably slept with a lot of people in Hollywood in this world, you know, not literally, but not literally, because they've slept in that t-shirt. Like, many people. Like, it's funny because, like, when people like use that shirt, they will send me a selfie and just like, this is a great, and the quality of it is really amazing.
It is.
So people enjoy wearing it. I got to get your info so I can send you some swag.
Oh man, listen, I would definitely love it, because we got a buddy of mine who creates action figures, and he had created me an action figure, and so I take it with me everywhere I go as well, taking the photos. But I was like, you know, it's my personal thing. It was like, oh, I'm gonna take this with it, you know, I'm gonna take it at the airport. Every city, I'm gonna go to their city staple and take a picture in front of it. You know what I'm saying? It's my action figure. I call it action figure Deuces. So it's like, you know, when I saw that, I was like, I immediately connected with it. But then I was like, wait a minute, it seemed like other people has this. I was like, I gotta get this story. I gotta figure it out.
It's like Where's Waldo? Like, you know,
right.
It's like he's everywhere. Like, it's
everywhere. But it's like, you know, like it's really dope, man. You know what I'm saying? That you got friends that's dedicated to kind of do that. Because to me, I also, you know, you hear about the horror stories of this industry, and to see something like that, which is just embedded in fun. It started off as a celebration, as a thank you for celebrating this moment with me, but it turned into this fun, long-lasting thing that, like, now forever, you know, it could be 30 more years down the road, you're going to be done with Hollywood, and then all of a sudden one of your friends, super old,
pops up
with it, and you're like, hey, I remember that.
It's hilarious. Like, even when I visit some friends and, you know, go into their house and I see it on the shelf somewhere or whatever, and like, to know that it's still lasting and, you know, is a part of our relationship. It's just great. It's just you know, good times.
All right, so I like to play games with my guests. We got a staple game that we call Geekset Hypotheticals. So I'm being that you like horror, Afrofuturism, and sci-fi and fantasy and all that. I want to. It's a 2-part question. So the first part is based off of apocalyptic scenarios, and I want to know, which apocalyptic scenario do you believe that you, with your skill set, that you can last the longest? So it's the zombie apocalypse, the aliens apocalypse, or the robot apocalypse?
Oof. I could see myself in all of them, but if I had to choose, I would go. I almost want to say Alien, because can't they recreate, like regrow, like, or no, you know what? I'm gonna say robots. I'm gonna say robots because it's I don't know, more powerful.
Okay, so now the second layer is we're gonna break it down. So the first type of robot, so the iRobot style robot, the Sonny that was there to protect you, and all of a sudden figure out that mankind is a threat to themselves, and now you got to fight this just a regular old robot, but they're kind of, you know, a little bit stronger and everything. With your skill set and what you know about yourself, how long are you giving yourself?
Oh, I'm lasting.
You're lasting.
I'm lasting.
All right.
Because you know, I'm great with problem solving. I'm great with, you know, just being proactive, foresight, and, you know, navigation. Like, yeah, I'm lasting. I ain't going out in round 1. Like, no.
Now, what about this is the one that usually gets people. Now we got the Terminator style robot. You know, that's the seek and destroy. They create bigger robots and everything. Where you lasting on that one?
I guess I don't know. Like, thinking about in any moment in time and space. You're saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, because you got to think like, so because my first thought process is, all right, I got to find a resistance, like, because you can't be in this world alone.
yeah. Look, there's strength in numbers, so like it's about really finding that you know, that squad or that unit that you know, rock with and are aligned and in sync of survival skills, like, you know, because not everybody's good with that. Like, you know,
that was gonna be my question. So, because like every time I have these questions, I always got to give out the caveat. Like, I believe that I can make fire, but I've never really had an opportunity to do so. So I don't know if I can, but I believe that I can. I know that I don't know how to hotwire a car, so that's something that I got to worry about. Like, it's like there's certain skills that I'm like, okay, I need to hone these skills up, because if something hits, I don't know how long I'm gonna last.
Put me in there. Like, you want me on your team, because I will. If you can will it, you can do it. Like,
I love it,
especially in moments of survival and dire circumstances.
Yeah.
It's like, let's go. We going.
Here's a good game to play next time you're around like a group of individuals, or next time you're on a set. Because when you think about like zombie apocalypse or just any apocalypse, when it hits, usually your crew is the people that's around you. So just have that moment of saying, all right, if the apocalypse hit and this is my crew, what is our likelihood of surviving? And start figuring out, like, okay, so who here knows how to do med stuff? Like, we need med. Who's a good hunter gatherer? Who's somebody that can be a good soldier? We do that at conventions that we go to. We'll shut the door in the room that we're in. It's like, all right, this is our crew. And then we start asking questions. All right, so who can do this? And then we try to gauge our survival rate if this was our crew. Like, that is a fun game right there.
Yeah, no, it's great. And that's why, like, I'm a great leader, because I know what I know and I know what I don't know. So it's about really, you know, surrounding yourself and filling that squad out with, like, you know, the right people. And I'm good with that.
Nice. Well, that is our Geekset hypothetical game, man. Thank you for playing that. So I need to know, man, you know, before we get you out of here, what is your Moby Dick style project? Like, what is the project that you would love to do that you haven't got a chance to do?
You know, I think the Project Virgil that I mentioned is one that that has recently fulfilled something inside of me. There are many. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in search of an opportunity, kind of dealing with a psychological thriller, like a who done it type plot, you know, that really digs into, you know, answers the question, what is justice and who gets to decide, you know, where we get to really see ourselves in this world and do that. That's one that is a huge desire. And I think just even in the comedy space, like, I want to find an opportunity to really lean into masculinity and really have those conversations, you know, really break down what we can easily say has been the burden of masculinity, that toxic space and mindset, and just be able to connect and have and share and commune better.
Yeah.
You know, so those are areas that I am and have always been really passionate about, and I'm so, you know, like, fervently working toward finding.
Awesome. You know what? There's one thing that I believe after this conversation, I believe that you would cook in and you would kill. So probably like last year, I got a chance to interview the brother Paige Kennedy. And
that's my boy. I love
Paige the homie, and he is theatrically trained, right?
Yep.
And one of the things that me and him talked about when I was like, I would love to see this come into light is like a Game of Thrones style show, but the cast is primarily black, and it's not like it's not blacked up, like it's not like, hey yo, you know what I'm saying, My Fair Lady, like no, it's like literally that Game of Thrones style fantasy world, but the cast is primarily black. It's not the color of their skin doesn't really matter in the show, because there's so many people. Because after I had the conversation with him, throughout conversations with other actors, I started asking them about that style, that old English, that Roman style of acting and vocal inflections. And there is so many of us in Hollywood that does that, but we don't get that opportunity because everybody, when they create that fantasy world, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, and all that, the Viking stuff, they always omit us, or they make us like a clan. Like, oh, there's that one clan of black folks. And so I would love to see that project come into fruition. And just knowing what I've seen about Story with you and the way that you direct and the way that you attract to like writing and stuff like that, I think you would cook in that type of style scenario.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying. We out here hustling and grinding, trying to figure it out.
So, man, where can my people find you at, and what would you need? What do you need them to support you in?
You know, I just think just the constant sharing and supporting. Just, you know, we're out here. My company, Anthony Hemingway Productions. You know, we're on IG at AHP Films. And then personally at Shiny Boots with the Z. You know, just trying to get out here and continuing to tap into these spaces that I feel, you know, are deserving, you know, for further conversations and further examinations, you know, and just so people can feel like they have a seat at the table, you know, in a real sincere way. So yeah, I mean, it's just, and it goes both ways. Like, you know, we're out here, we're trying to, you know, do as just what you're doing right now, which is continuing to give everybody their flowers as best we can and support and show up, you know, and you know, that's all that really is asked for, is just that ability, because you don't know if you're really effectively doing it until you hear, you know, from other people. You know, I'm out here doing my best in everything that I can, but until you hear that love, you know, that is the real confirmation and affirmation that, like, you know, people are, you know, they appreciate what we're doing.
Yeah, man. Well, we definitely do appreciate you, man. And again, thank you again for your time, you know what I'm saying, being on here, you know, and yeah, man, we're going to continue to support you in many things that that you do. Like I said, you'll be able to see Geekset pop up all the time, and we're going to support you, bro.
Appreciate you. When is this dropping?
This is actually a drop, not this Saturday, the Saturday after. So yeah, I'll tag you in it. But you know what I'm saying? Listen here, let me do my outro real quick. Look, this is 101 with Deuces. I've been your boy Deuces. This has been the amazing Anthony Hemingway. Thank you again, and we are out. Peace.